and YouTube. Maybe somebody can shoot me a text, make sure that it's there. Mark Size, your host. Here we are in the Book of Ruth, chapter 1. And I want to see if I have... Yep, prayer line is open for you, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my God, we got the Marines out there for you. What do they say about the Marines? Always ready, always something or another. Anyway, we have Diane on our prayer line for you right now. Let me get you the number. 505-310-9658 is the number. And you call that up till 8 o'clock this morning. You need prayer. You have a praise report that you want to share with us. Let's get it on with that prayer line that we have for you. And as we're doing that, let's go to another screen and let's talk about the Book of Ruth. The Book of Ruth is only 4 chapters. We're used to some of these, well, what was it? Genesis was about 50 chapters. We can find out real quick if you're on social media with us. We can see, so we get this little book over here. What was it? 50 chapters or something like that in the book of Genesis. Exodus was 40 chapters, Leviticus 27, Numbers 36, Deuteronomy 34, Joshua 24, Judges was 21, and now we get into the Book of Ruth, which is only 4 chapters, and it's a love story. It's it's a love story. If you ever listen to Chuck Missler, we have him here on 95.7 during the broadcast times of 8:30 in the morning and 8:30 in the evening, Monday through Friday. And if you ever listen to 6640 with Chuck Missler, when he starts talking about the Book of Ruth, whether it's teaching specifically that book or whether he's just bringing it into something else that he's talking about, you could see the passion that he has for this book. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm, got him memorized. Mr. Missler is what I'm talking about. But I've loved his teaching for many years. I don't listen to him all the time, but I do on occasion download stuff. And now that we have it on our program, whenever, I have a chance, I like listening to a lot of the stuff that he says. But when he talks about the Book of Ruth, he just loves it. Because he begins to tell you about the story, okay, the love story that's going on in the book, but then he begins to draw those parallels. And in those parallels that he begins to draw, because there's always a bigger picture. And when we can see the bigger picture, you can understand the bigger picture, that it's a love story. Do you know that God loves you and has a plan for your life? That's where it all starts off. It all starts off for us to know that God... See, the Bible says in John 3:16 that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him would not perish but have everlasting life. And, we start off, and God started off dealing with me, when I was lost. I ain't lost anymore. I'm not a rebel against the things of God, against the kingdom of God anymore. At one time I was, but I'm not that person anymore. I'm a new creature in Christ Jesus. And I know it. I know that God is, but it's all started off with me understanding that God loved me. It's a message that it's a message that our world needs to hear. And what you see is the love story. And we're getting into it now in the Book of Ruth. And I don't know how long it's going to take us to do 4 chapters. I don't think it'll take us, a long, long time. But it is a beautiful story, and I encourage you to read it on your own time. I encourage you to use that and ask the Holy Spirit to speak to you and to show you. Because ultimately what's going to happen is that we're gonna intersect with the lineage, the parental lineage of David and Solomon in this book, King David and King Solomon, in a really different way. And God, God has a way of weaving things together that seem like if they don't. It's like my wife. My wife does quilting. She could be in her quilting room. She has a good sized room, and she's got it full of tables and machines and all kinds of stuff. And she has materials. Please follow me, okay? Because I'm not out on a rabbit trail. And what she'll do is she'll get pieces of material that look like if they conflict with each other. For me, I'd look at that and say, well, that's one color and that's another color, and this is one pattern and this is another pattern. But she'll cut those materials into small pieces, and then she'll begin to sew them together. And you begin to see how she has this big styrofoam board on the wall, and she starts pinning them up onto the wall. And then she'll sew them together and put them back up on the wall. And before you know it, you see this quilt coming up. And all of these colors and all of these patterns and everything begin to fit together. And all of a sudden, you look at the final product and you say, oh my God, I never saw it. It kind of reminds me of, I've done a lot of traveling over the last 30, 40 years of my life, especially in the career that I had for 33 years as a food service salesman. You go down this road every week. You would go down this one road, and then all of a sudden the construction company they're going to do something different. They're going to fix something. They're going to build something new. They're going to build, and they start building, and you say, do those guys know what they're doing? And every week I would pass by and I'd look at some of these construction sites and say, they're messing everything up. So I got to stop. But if you wait long enough, you find out that they had a plan and they knew what they were doing. And all of a sudden you see the big picture. I always want us to see the big picture. And it's a picture that is always tied and always find its foundation in the love that God has for us. For God so loved the world. And Ruth is one of those that we're going to see the love that she has ultimately for God, and how God covers her in the midst of all this. And once again, remember what we were talking about, these threads that God begins to knit together. And they seem like if they don't fit, and you say, well, God, how's this going to work? And why is this going to work? I was telling Joshua and Kristen the other day, is that I got a feeling that one day there was a meeting in heaven, and the fallen angels met with God. And God said, listen, that world over there is going to love me. That world over there, I'm going to save. And the devil said, yeah, right. How are you going to do that? He says, I'm going to pick a people. And I'm going to pick a people, and I'm going to pick them, and I'm going to bring out of there the root stock of the work that I'm doing. Maybe you can understand this. I can see it. Maybe I can't describe it the way I should. But I could see this meeting between, and I'm not saying that there was. I'm just saying, this is the way I try to explain things sometimes. And he says, and I'm going to get a people. I'm going to get a people group from that world that I have created, and I'm going to show you that I can do something. And the devil says, okay, you get a people, but I get to choose the people. God says, okay, fair enough, go for it. And God chose the descendants of Abraham. And I could see Satan, and I can see all of the demons of hell laughing and say, yeah, right, Abraham, that's the weakest. And out of there, God brought a people. Out of there, God did something. And in the midst of it, he wove different streams that were coming through, that they seemed like conflicting streams, but at the end, here comes Messiah. Here comes Yeshua. Here comes Jesus the Christ. And God says, I'm going to do something with these people. And the devil now can't laugh anymore about it. He picked the least, and God made them a sign and a testimony to his goodness, to his greatness, to his wisdom, to his power. All knowing, all loving, all present. And Ruth, we're going to find out, is one of those threads that is going to be woven into the big picture, and the tapestry that is being made is a big picture of how God did something. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled. So we've been in the book of Judges, and we've seen some of these judges who they are. Ernie, what's one of the names of the judges?
Gideon.
Gideon. What's his other name?
Jerubbaal.
Jerubbaal. Ernie is stuck on the name Jerubbaal. I mean, funny. And who was Jerubbaal? Jerubbaal was Gideon. He was just another one of the judges. Name another judge that we've seen.
We got Joshua.
Joshua was one. Samson was another. All kinds of different judges that we have. Micah, there's another one. See, these are judges that we have seen along the line. And in seeing these along the line, we've learned about that time in that period. We are still in that period when we get into the book of Ruth. I'm not sure that the last 5 chapters, or is it 17, 18, 19, 20, 5 chapters of the book of Judges really falls into this time, but I know that the book of Ruth does, because it says it specifically in the first verse. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to dwell in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. So it's important, ladies and gentlemen, and I learned this before I flunked out of college. And the reason I flunked out of college is because I learned it too late, or I wasn't invested enough to apply it to the situation. But you get the foundation right. Some of you, I might have one young person out there listening to me this morning and say, I'm going to go to college. What do you suggest? Go to class and study, especially the first few weeks. Get the foundation of what the course is all about before you start getting lazy. And we're getting into this book, want to lay a foundation, want to make sure is that we understand the context that is in, and that's where we get context, especially at the beginning. So what is the historical context? It says there in that phrase right there in the first sentence, in the days when the judges ruled. So when it doesn't tell, I don't think it's going to tell us what judge, but was it Samson? Was it Micah? Was it Gideon? Was it Deborah? What? There was a woman judge? Yeah, woman judge. I was thinking of this last night, and I know that I'm kind of going around all over the place, but I was thinking about this. They treated women in those days like they treated cattle. Like if they were just animals. A lot of people were lot of and God had value, and He showed us, and I thank God for a lot of things that He's done. Even Deborah, even a woman, was a mighty judge in the time. Anyway, let's play a song, and then let us get into a weather report, and then let us continue in our book of Judges, Ruth, that happened in the time of Judges. Notice how I don't know about that sound that sounds like a heart beating there on the end of that song. That was Elvis Presley singing Amazing Grace. 30 minutes, 30 seconds after the hour. 21 degrees is our current temperature. We have, a weather report for you right here. Partly cloudy today, high around 38. South wind 7 to 13 miles per hour. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, slight chance of snow showers, high around 53. So it's going to be warmer tomorrow. with northwest wind 8 to 13, a 20% chance of precip. And then on Saturday, partly cloudy, high around 36, northeast wind 9 to 14 miles per hour. Now, Saturday, we are meeting here at Cornerstone Church at 11:30 in the morning. We are going through, a short evangelism training. It shouldn't take more than 45 to 60 minutes worth of evangelism training. Joshua and Kristen have a evangelistic tool that they want to teach us how to use. And then after that, we're going to hit the streets and we're going to go out and use the tool that God is going to put in our hands so that we can get that flavor, that zeal, that fire, and direct it in the right place. So that's what we're doing is we're asking you, come Cornerstone Saturday at 11:30. We'll talk more about it tonight. We'll talk more about it Friday night. But Saturday is when we're going to do it here. We had initially said maybe Friday we would do it, but looking at the weather, chance of snow showers, and then I think Saturday is a better time for people to come anyway, and we want to get as many people involved in it. So find out more tonight at Cornerstone Church at 6:30. Always, and also, don't forget, prayer line open for you right now, 505-310-9658. So if you can kind of filter through some of the things that I said between 10 minutes after and the bottom of the hour, this love story. And see, Ruth is going to be this thread. Ruth is this thread that just doesn't seem to fit. Well, she's not even a daughter of Abraham. Well, by faith, she is going to be a daughter of Abraham. Here's something that we miss sometimes, is that even in the Mosaic covenant, there was a door that the Gentiles could walk through and come into, which is a parallel of God going to save not just Jew, but Gentile in the whole world, because God loved what? Part of the world? Some of the world? What, Ernie?
All of the world.
What was that, Ernie?
All of the world.
All of the world. God loved the world so much. God loved the world so much.
He gave his only begotten Son.
There you go. That he gave his only begotten Son. And Ruth is that picture of those wild olive branches that God is going to bring in to his family and show Satan and show all the demons and show all created beings the mercy, the grace, the love, and the power of God, and how he can do exceedingly abundantly above. It's a bigger picture of things that's going on. It's more than just the world, though. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land. Okay? So this is a book that sets up the context for us right away. You can read that. Okay? You read that right now, and you right away, your mind begins to say, okay, in that time, okay, this is what was going on. Okay, there was a famine in the land. In Israel, there's a famine in the land. And there was a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah. Notice how they put the Judah after Bethlehem. There could have been another place that would have been named Bethlehem, but they want to make you sure that you know that this was the Bethlehem that is in Judah. The southern part of Israel. He went to dwell in the country of Moab. What? Yeah, the famine must have been so severe that he goes off unto this Gentile land. We've heard about the Moabites. We've heard about the Moabites when, not Noah, Moses was going through the wilderness. Remember, the Moabites were there. We went even to the book of Judges. Remember, the Moabites were still around, and later, much later, generations after Moses, the Moabites are still bothering and still fighting with Israel. And this man who is of the covenant and of the tribe of Judah, because of the famine, had to go into another country so he could feed his family. But God had a plan. God had a little sparkle in his eye. And that's the way things happen sometimes. That's why we can't go to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So, he went to dwell in the country of Moab, he, his wife, and his 2 sons. Okay, watch them getting on their donkeys. Watch them packing up everything that they have. Watch them tying up to the donkeys and watch them leading them donkeys all the way to Moab so they could eat, so that they could till the ground, so that they could, a father. What is a father? A father wants to provide for his family. The same way that your earthly father wants to provide for you, your heavenly Father wants to do the same thing. The difference is he does it perfectly. The name of the man was Elimelech. The name of his wife was Naomi. The names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they went to the country of Moab and remained there. So there's another question that I have. They were from Ephraim, but they were living in Judah. Anyway, I don't know what that's all about, but the Bible puts it there, and it's there for a purpose. And if I don't understand it right there, maybe next time around I will. So we have Elimelech, we have his wife Naomi, and we have his 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion. And they went to the country of Moab and remained there. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. You're in a strange territory. You're in a strange country. You're there just to survive, and your husband dies, and the 2 sons, their father died. Now, they took 2 wives of the women of Moab. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. Now, I know some chicks that are named Ruth, but I don't know any ones that are named Orpah, but hey, I wonder why. And they dwelt there about 10 years. Then both Mahlon and Chilion, there's all kinds of different ways that I guess we can pronounce that. I don't know what the right way is, so I make it up as I go along. So the women survived her 2 sons and her husband. They've taken off to Moab. Father of the house dies. Terrible event. But at least she has her 2 sons. And then they die. And And Naomi and her 2 daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth, are left. And I think some of us know the story. We know a little bit about the story. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab that Yahweh had visited his people by giving them bread. It's just 3 girls left all to themselves. So she hears that the fortunes have changed in Israel, so it's time to go back home. She rose with her daughters-in-law that she might return. She had heard of the country of Moab. In the country, the Lord had visited his people by giving them bread. Therefore she went out from the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her. Now, you say, do you think that God caused the famine just to get Naomi out and then to bring her back in? Well, I think that's part of the story, but I bet you there was a lot of other stories and other books that could be written about what was God doing at the same time. Judgment had come upon Israel, that much I can tell you. Because God wanted to bless his people coming in and going out. God wanted to bless his people in the city and in the country. We know that. But it's the time of Judges, and we got the temperature of Judges by going through those 21 chapters that we just finished. Anyway, she went out from the place where she was, /Moab, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, Naomi and Orpah, and they went on their way to return to the land of Judah. And Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord Yahweh deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. So she's getting ready to go back home, and she's releasing her sons' wives. She's saying, okay, I'm releasing you guys. You go back home. You go back to your other life. You go back to where, wherever you found yourself, and that's going to be a safe place for you. I'm going back. Here's what a point that we made before we got into the weather report. Women in those days, in many regards, were treated like livestock. And I know people don't like hearing that, especially in the days that we're living in. But if you read the Bible, you're going to find out that was the prevailing attitude. And in some cultures, it still is, sadly to say. So Naomi, losing her husband and her 2 boys and releasing her 2 daughters, she's going back to nothing. She sold the land that they had. Well, the dad had sold the land before they left to Moab. She didn't know. She was going back to nothing. There was nothing for her in Moab, but there was no guarantee that anything was going to be there for her except scorn and rejection when she got back to Israel. So she tells the girls, you don't want to go back where I'm going. You go back to your mother's house. You go back over there and start your lives all over again. And may the Lord Yahweh, verse 8, deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. So apparently she had been ministering, and these girls understood Mosaic covenant, at least in part, because, she's using the name Yahweh, and I'm guessing that they had learned a lot about this Yahweh God, who wasn't the same as the Moabite God. He wasn't Baal. He was Yahweh. May Yahweh grant, verse 9, the Lord Yahweh grant that you may find rest, each in the house of her husband. So she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. So, this is the last slicing of the cake before they go. This is, hey, today's the day. See you guys later. So she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, surely we will return with you and your people. So the girls say, Naomi, we're going with you. We're going back home with you. We're not going to leave you alone. But Naomi said, turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there still sons in my womb that they may be your husbands? You listen. She said, why do you want to go back with me? You still have a lot of life to live. You still have children to bear. You still have families to raise and to take care of and to nurture. Do I look like if I'm pregnant? I don't even have a husband anymore. So are you gonna wait for me to have children, and you're gonna wait for those children and the next one? Are you gonna wait for those children to grow up? Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there still sons in my womb that they may be your husband? And Naomi isn't thinking of herself. She's thinking of the future that these young ladies have. Turn back, my daughters. Go, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband tonight, and you should also bear sons, where would you wait for them till they're grown? He says, even if I had a husband waiting for me over there in Israel, right there in Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, even if I had a husband waiting for me, and even if I got pregnant, and even if I had two, let's say I had twin boys, you'd still have to wait for them to get old enough to where you'd bury them. That's half of your life that you're going to wait for all this maybes to happen. It was just a maybe. But in the land of faith, maybes turn into realities, because faith is a substance. In the natural, a maybe is something that's very ethereal. It's just like a cloud. It's just like a mist that, well, maybe yes and maybe no. And before you know it, that maybe the sun could could come up and just burn that fog away, and then where's your maybe? Well, let me tell you what. In faith isn't a maybe. Faith is a substance. Faith is a tangible asset in the kingdom of God. It is a substance. It is an evidence according to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. The evidence, and I already get this mixed up with it's an evidence of things, so if I'm going to do this right, and we're going to talk a little bit about faith, we're going to give it the right. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I want you to hold that into your spiritual bag for this morning for a little while longer as we continue here. Go on home. No, we're not going. We're going to hang with you. Why would you want to hang with me? Why would you want? You're going to wait. You're going to wait 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Who knows how long it's going to take me to get a husband? How long it's going to take me to get pregnant? I'm an old lady already. You guys go you have the rest of your lives. Turn back, my daughters. Verse 12, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have no hope, if I should have a husband tonight, should also bear sons, would you wait for them till they are grown? Would you restrain yourselves from having husbands? You want to wait that long? No, my daughters, for it grieves me very much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord Yahweh has gone out against me. So she feels like she's cursed by God. She feels like, oh, well, nobody wants to hang with me anymore. And you don't know what's waiting for me when I go back home. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Maybe in Moab it was worse for a unmarried woman who didn't have any children. But that's where Naomi finds herself right now. And she is more concerned about her daughter-in-laws than she's concerned about herself. Very, very. But she says, for it grieves me very much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord Yahweh has gone out against me. This is where I have a little bit of it. But when we find ourselves in those situations, it's the why. Why God? Why God? Why God? Why is it that when things happen to us, we always blame God and we never blame the devil? Negative things happen to us. But this really was a negative thing. God was weaving this story together, and God had a bigger purpose. No, my daughters, for it grieves me very much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord Yahweh has gone out against me. God has put the mark of Cain all over my forehead now. You don't want to be part of me. You don't want to be attached to me. You better put your masks on. You better not be because I got it, baby. I got number 19. Yeah, right. No, you don't. You don't, Naomi. You got a glorious future. They lifted up their voices and wept again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. So what is happening is that Naomi releasing the daughters-in-law. One of them goes back to their household, another one doesn't. Ruth clung to her. Orpah kissed her goodbye and said, "Ay te wacho." Sorry, I had to throw that in there for some of you people out there. And she said, "Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods return after your sister-in-law." He says, "Look at Orpah. Orpah's going back over there. She's going to go find herself a future that looks much better than where I'm going. It looks, it don't look too good, Senor, to go back with me over here to Israel." But Ruth said, verse 16, and I have to set this up this way so we can get the full impact of what's going to happen. "Entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you." And Ruth says, please, don't try to force me to go back. Let's see what verse 16 says from the Message Bible. This entreat sometimes doesn't cut the mustard. "Don't force me to leave you. Don't make me go home." And watch what she says. And this is the Message translation. "Where you go, I go. Where you live, all live. And your people are my people, and your God is my God." Ruth sees something that nobody else sees, in my estimation. Right now and right there, Ruth sees something. Faith is evidence and substance. That hope, let's go back over there and let's look at it one more time, because I'll twist it around. I'll say the evidence of things hoped for and the substance of things not seen, when it really is the substance of things hoped for. Something is rising up. Now, something that I've talked about already, I believe, is that they have understood what Elimelech, Naomi, and the two sons, and their faith that they have in Yahweh, and they have pretty much embraced it. It has been a testimony unto their lives. And the seed that was planted in these young women's life, one of them goes back, and she said, go back to your gods. But the other one says, I see something. I see something. And I want to throw in my lot with you. I just want to see. I have hope. I have a substance. Substance is, whatever is in front of you, whatever you can touch, it's a substance. In the kingdom, faith is a substance. It's a marketable asset. Faith is like gold and silver in God's kingdom. And Ruth, something is building up within her and says, I should go. I should leave you. I should forget about it, but I can't. Substance of things hoped for. The evidence of things not seen. I'm going to bookmark that on number 2, just in case we need to visit that again. Because you just never know. We just might have to look at that again and again. Let's go back to verse 16. Entreat me not to leave you, or to turn back from following after you. For wherever you go, I will go. We're back in the King James again. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. The Lord Yahweh, remember, L-O-R-D, all caps. His personal name is not just a generic name, but it's the personal name of God that was revealed to Moses at the burning bush. Because Moses said, how will I tell the elders who has sent me? You say, tell them Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahweh, Vove, or however. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me. She says, we're tied at the hip now, Naomi. You can't get rid of me that easy. Thank you for giving me my release. Thank you for saying, here's your certificate of release. I don't think they need it, but I'm telling you, you set me. No. I'm going to stick to you, girl. You're my mom now. Wherever you go, I'll go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people, my people. Your God, my God. When you die, he says, where you die, I'm going to die also. I'll probably outlive you, but, I'm going to stay there. And there will I be buried. And the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me. Now this is a powerful declaration that she is making right now. And I'm getting ready a song, so we can get ready in a couple of minutes to play it. When she saw that she was determined to go with her, she stopped speaking to her. So Ruth kept belaboring the point. Both of them. There they are. Go. No. Split. No. Here's your ticket. No. I'll buy you a bus. No. I'll take. No. I'm sticking with you. Wherever you go, I'm going to go. Whatever happens, we're stuck at the hip. When she saw that she was determined to go with her, she stopped speaking to her. Now we can kind of lay that foundation and get into the rest of it. Now the two of them went until they came to Bethlehem. The return. And they returned back to Bethlehem, but it wasn't till there was going to be the brass band that was going to be playing. There wasn't going to be banners. There wasn't going to be a parade. There wasn't going to be all kinds of things. Oh, Naomi's back. Everybody, you see now. What happened to you, chick? What happened to you? Now the two of them went until they came to Bethlehem, and it happened when they had come to Bethlehem that all the city was excited because of them, and the women said, "Is this Naomi?" Well, maybe there was a little bit of a parade. Maybe there was, well, hey, they're excited. Hey, guess who's back? But she said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, but call me Mara. For the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me." Well, good morning, Las Vegas. You're listening to KLYNLP. It is a Thursday morning. It is the 20th day of January, 2/3 of this month gone already. Pretty soon we're going to say a quarter of the year, and then only a month left, and we start with 2023. I think we'll still be around then. I don't think anything to worry about. Anyway, I want to let you know that prayer line is available for you at 505-310-9658. God, very wise and gentle women on the other side of that line for you, whether it's Monday and Tuesday with Pauline or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with Diane. They'd love to pray with you. They'd love to hear some of the reports of what God is doing in your life. Seal it with a testimony. So let's get back into our study for today. Now, verse 19, the two of them went until they came to Bethlehem, and it happened when they had come to Bethlehem that all the city was excited because of them, and the woman said, "Is this Naomi?" She said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me bitter. For God, for the Almighty," that's what it's, let's just read it for what it says, "For the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me." So she comes back to Bethlehem, and what's her posture as she goes back? She doesn't go back with her head held high. She doesn't go back, with her Sunday clothes on. She goes back over there probably dressed in black with a veil over her face, trying to sneak in through the back door. Maybe nobody would see her, but everybody's excited, say, "Hey, you're back. Where's Elimelech? Where are them boys of yours? And who's this chick with you over here that got tattoos all over her face?" Yeah, in those days they tattooed, some of those idolatrous people tattooed themselves all over the place. You thought it was a brand new thing, huh? She said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord Yahweh has brought me home empty again. Why do you call me Naomi, since Yahweh has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me?" And it's almost like in the mind of Naomi, she said, "I don't know what I did wrong, but baby, whatever I did, I sure got the whiplash of the tail of the enemy coming into my life. And the same way that my husband left and my sons left, I think God has rejected me also. God left me somewhere." No, God never leaves us, and God never forsakes us. And if we wait long enough, you will see full circle. I was telling the pastors' meeting in Albuquerque Monday, because they had me praying for the prisoners, for the guys in jail. When I went to jail, when I went to prison, I thought it was the worst thing that was ever going to happen in my life. I said, "Man, this cannot be good." And only God could turn it around. Only God could make it something good. Only God could get me and take me away from all the support systems that I had. My family, my friends, whatever I thought there was a support system, God took it out of the way, stuck me in the middle of the penitentiary to Mexico, and said, "Okay, will you trust me?" And I had a choice. But now I look back at it, and even before I left after the 8 months that I was there. I said, hey, God, you've done you. I'm walking out of here different, not because of who I am, because of who you are in my life. And Naomi's walking into kind of that place that I walked into. And all of us have walked in there, but it's not how you walk in, it's how you walk out. Do not call me Naomi. I went out full. Yahweh has brought me home empty again. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has testified against me and the Almighty has afflicted me? Listen, in my own mind, Eileen and our oldest and I were at Bible school. I was going to, why would God take me from Bible school to P&M? And that's not the utility company, P&M, either. Why would God do that? It's almost like God saying, okay, that's their school. Let me take you to my school. I went out full. The Lord has brought me. Can you see? Oh, poor me. The Lord has brought me home empty again. Why do you call me Naomi, since Yahweh has testified against me? All of these things, my husband, my sons, all of this has been God's judgment upon my life. No, it wasn't. God was doing something exceedingly abundantly above all that she could ask or think. And the Almighty has afflicted me. So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, who returned from the country of Moab. Now they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Could you see who's this chick with her? Look at her. She got tattoos on her forehead, and she's got them on her cheeks, and she's got them wrapped around her neck. And a Moabitess? What the heck is this? Okay, Naomi. So they go back to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. They don't have much to go back to, ladies and gentlemen. They really don't. There was a relative of Naomi's husband, a man of great wealth, of the family of Elimelech. His name was Boaz. So we're introduced to a new person here in this beautiful story, this love story here. So there's a relative of Naomi's husband, a man of great wealth. Another opportunity for us to understand the context of the story. His name was Boaz, and he was related to her husband. Closely related to her husband. So Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him, in whose sight I may find favor. So she said to her, go, my daughter. Okay? You just didn't put in an application at the local restaurant and say, hey, I could be a waitress. You just didn't go out unto some place and an employment agency say, I need a job. It wasn't that type of economy to begin with. But let me tell you what Ruth did. Ruth did what she could do. They could all sit in their little, motel room, counting their pennies and see how many days they have left until they have to get kicked out on the streets. But Ruth says, well, I ain't just going to sit around over here and watch CNN all the time, because that's not helping me any at all. Please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him, in whose sight I may find favor. And she said, go, my daughter. There's a sparkle in Ruth's eye that I just love. She says, let me go do something. Let me go. I can glean. It's the time of the barley harvest. We already found that at the end of the chapter. So what happened was that when they would bring in the harvest, we saw this in the Mosaic covenant, when they brought in the harvest and when they went in and they harvested the grain fields, God had told Moses to tell the farmer, don't harvest the corners of your field. Leave those for the poor and leave those for the widows. We got 2 widows here. So they could go to the corners of the field and they could get whatever was left over there, and they could take, and they're not going to, hey, listen, I'm the farmer. I'm going to make sure that we get real close to the corner. I'm not going to, hey man, I'm the you can ask Ernie. I'm the cheapskate. I'm the guy that's going to squeeze every penny that I got. And I'm going to sure, well, maybe Boaz was that way, maybe not, but they're going to go over there and they're just going to get the leftovers. That's all they're doing, is they're just getting the leftovers. You've seen an alfalfa field. The corners is where the water doesn't get as much as it gets into the middle of the field. The fertilizer doesn't get into the corner of the property like the middle does. So, okay, there's some barley growing over there, but it's kind of skinny and it's kind of, please let me go into the field and glean. I'll get whatever I can. If I get a couple of handfuls of grain, it's better than what we have now, which is 0. 1 plus 0 is better than 0 plus 0. Ruth says, let me go to the field, glean heads of grain, after whom I may find favor. And she says, go. You go on. Here's another thing that we're going to find out about Ruth real quick. She's a worker. She's a doer. You're going to get out there and she's going to do something. Are you concerned about your community? You're concerned about the people around you, your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers. You're concerned about their spiritual destiny? Go. We're going to help you with that Saturday. You stay tuned, you come, maybe tonight and learn more about it, but we want to help you with that because we're talking about beyond. What is beyond prayer? I believe many of us have been praying. What is beyond prayer? Prayer is not the end of our work and our calling, ladies and gentlemen. There's more to it than just praying. There's finally getting our prayers and attaching them to our feet and doing something about it. Or are you waiting for somebody else to do your job? Ruth wasn't going to wait for somebody else. Ruth wasn't going to wait for maybe somebody was going to bring frozen meals and put them on the doorstep every day, and they were going to have TV dinners. And they were just going to sit back there and watch CNN and Fox News and get all discouraged and down in the mouth and just eat TV dinners all day long. She left. Verse 3, hello, what did she do? Ernie, what did she do?
She left.
Then she left. That's all she did. She just left. And went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. Just so happens. Just so happens. I wonder how that happened. I don't think that Naomi forced the issue. I don't think that Ruth forced the issue. And I'm sure that Boaz didn't force the issue because he didn't even know what the heck was going on. But she's out there gleaning, and she goes to a field, and it just so happened that the field belonged to Boaz, who was a direct relative through marriage of Naomi and now Ruth. Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, the Lord Yahweh be with you. And they answered him, the Lord bless you. Looks like Boaz was a good employer. And his employees, I could use this when we're talking to people that are interested in starting business. Look at how Boaz treated his people. Then Boaz said to his servant, the same way that Joe, I know Joe and Flo. In fact, Joe said a while ago, hoopla. What was all the hoopla about? Yeah, well, there was a little bit of hoopla when Ruth and Naomi came back to Israel, back into Bethlehem, back into Judah. But I don't see anybody saying, hey, let me see how we can help you. So Ruth says, let's go help. I'll go help. I'll go work. I'll go get a job. I mean, it's almost like she's dumpster diving. It's almost like she's going out over there. Did you see about that lady in Albuquerque the other day? Her and a couple of other men were out there dumpster diving, and they found a baby and saved a life. Sad but true. Somebody needs to be praying for that little baby from the trauma. Now Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." They answered him, "So the Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to his servant who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" Guess what? Guess what? What's happening here? Huh? What do you think's happening here? Boaz said to his servant who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" Ernie, what do you think's going on with Boaz?
I think he's starting to realize that something is happening.
Oh, I don't know. There's a little, maybe, here's the way I'm going to explain it. Ruth has a little sparkle in her eye. And Boaz recognized that now he might have a little bit of a sparkle in his eye. Who's this young woman? Who's this chick that's over there? I don't recognize her. Never seen her around. So the servant who was in charge, where does she work? So the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered and said, it is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. And she said, "Please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves." So she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. So, oh yeah, Boaz. Hey, boss, this is that girl that came back with Naomi. She was married to one of Naomi's sons, one of Elimelech's sons. She was married to him. And she just, kind of knocked on the door one day and said, "Okay, if I follow your reapers." Because that's what they did. They followed the reapers, and as they followed the reapers, whatever the, little crumbs were left off, didn't make it on the trailer or got shook off the trailer, they picked them up and picked up a little grain here, a little grain there, put them in a little bag, and, hey, maybe we're going to have a barley for breakfast and lunch and dinner, which is better than nothing. It is the young Moabite woman. She said, "Please let me glean." So she asked us, is it okay if I glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves? So she came and has continued from morning until now. So apparently it was later in the day. And they say, that girl's only taken one break today, man. She took one 15-minute break and she hasn't stopped since then. So she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. And Boaz said to Ruth, "You will listen, my daughter, will you not?" Let's see how the message puts that down. Okay, you will listen, my daughter, will you not? Listen, my daughter. Well, okay, not enough there for me to really sink my teeth into. Will you listen, my daughter? Will you not? Hey, I got a suggestion for you, girl. If you listen to what I got to say, can you see him riding on his horse? He's got this good-looking steed he's a rich man. The Bible's already told us he's a rich man. It's the time of the barley harvest. Boaz said to Ruth, "You will listen, my daughter, will you not? Do not go to glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close by my young women." He says, "Listen, girl, you're taking care of my relative Naomi. I want to take care of you." He says, "You don't have to go to any other. We're going to take care of you. You got my permission, and I'm going to tell my servants to let you do what you need to do to feed your family." Seems like you got a good work ethic from what they're telling me already. "Do not go to glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap." So he says, when the women go out, you go out with them. Okay? As they're bringing in the harvest, you get whatever they leave behind. Go after them. "Have not I commanded the young men not to touch you?" What's that all about? Well, I think we can figure out what that's all about. What do you think that
He's got his eye on her.
he's got his eye on her? But what's he telling? What did he tell the young men?
Don't touch her.
Do you
don't
leave?
get
Yeah,
close to
exactly.
her.
Don't leave. You leave it. Don't mess with that Ruth girl.
Don't give her no Google eyes.
Exactly. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap. Goo eyes? Is that what it's called? Goo eyes? Okay. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Have I not commanded the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn. So he says, you don't have to worry about any of the young men abusing you. I really think that's what's that about. And he says, and when you want to drink a water, when you want to go over there, there's the lemonade, there's the iced tea, there's some coffee out. You can have. We'll take care of you. You just stay in my property. You're going to be safe. You're going to be okay here. When you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn. So she fell on her face, bowed down to the ground, and said to him, why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner? He says, don't you see the tattoos on my face? I didn't say, the Bible doesn't say that she had tattoos on her face. I'm just trying to embellish it a little bit, give us a little bit of hey, why are you checking me? Why are you so nice to me? Well, the reason primarily that Boaz was nice to Ruth is because he wanted to be nice to his relative and the situation that she found herself in, because Naomi thinks God has dealt her a bitter hand. She falls on her face, verse 10, bows down to the ground, said to him, why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner? Hey, I didn't expect this kind of treatment in Israel. I expected to be ostracized, marginalized. And Boaz answered and said to her, it has been fully reported to me that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father, your mother, and the land of your birth, and have come to a people whom you did not know. He says, girl, I know a little bit of your story. We've been doing a little bit of background check on you. And we're finding out that you got some great character things going on over there. You could have gone back the way Orpah got back. You could have, but you didn't. You stayed with my relative. I really liked, I don't know if it was his aunt or not. Let's say my tia Naomi. I really liked her. And I appreciate what you're doing. It's been fully reported to me, all that you have done for your mother-in-law. That's probably the talk, okay, at the local coffee shop and up and down the aisles of the grocery store. Oh, yeah, she's back, and I heard, and the other one stayed, and this one went, and, but she's still a Moabitess. You know that she's okay, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father, your mother, the land of your birth, and have come to a people who you did not know before. The Lord repay your work, and a full reward be given to you by the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge. And it's almost like Mr. Boaz has a word of knowledge right about there. Huh? You came underneath the wings of God. You came for more than just because you didn't have any place to go. Anyway, it's 23 minutes after the hour, and what we're going to do is we're going to put our bookmark right there on that 12th verse of the 2nd chapter of the Book of Ruth. And my encouragement, as always, is for you to continue to read it. Let the Lord speak into your life. Let the Holy Spirit give you revelation more than information. It starts with information, but somewhere down the line, we have to open that next door of revelation. It's like what we're talking about. We can have a touch from God, or else we can open up the second door and have a deep touch from God. And I think that's what God wants to do through these services we're having at night. You didn't think I was going to let you go today without me bringing that up. Better get into a song so we